It's spring week 5 in Apothecaria, and Mistress Sweetwater goes on an involuntary foraging trip. Hey there, Parz from drawingXpressions. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to this Apothecaria themed episodic writing project that I've been working on and sharing with you. Yeah, it's been good so far. I hope you're enjoying it. Before I dive into anything, I want to thank you, each and every one of you who subscribes to drawingXpressions. I had a goal in my head to achieve 325 subscribers. A little bit of an odd number, I get it, but 325. And just the other day, we not just hit it, but we exceeded it. So I'm super pleased about that. And there was a little dance party that happened here, you know, as you might imagine. And so now that we're at 325, it is time now to set the next goal. And, you know, since 325 nearly took us 2 years, let's just try and double it. 650. Why not? So I'm going to keep making content and putting it out there. And I hope you're going to continue to come and listen and learn and do all the stuff that you do. Maybe you get inspired. I don't know. However you interact with this stuff, I hope you will continue to do so. And I hope you will tell a friend. Share it on your social media. You know, the only way that we're going to grow subscribers is I keep putting out content that you like. And hopefully you are willing to let someone know in your life or in your social media or whatever that this is out there, and hopefully they'll come along for the ride too. So anyways, thank you so much. I can't do it without you. Achieve the subscribers. All I can do is just keep doing content, and the rest is up to you beautiful people who come here, and every 2 weeks you get to participate in what it is that I'm doing. So thank you. Now then, let's get on with the stuff. So, the guidelines, the thing that always comes up, guidelines bend. They're like the palm trees in the hurricane. Rules are like the dead trees next door, and they just get swept away by the wind. Palm trees, they bend over, but they don't break. So, guidelines bend, they don't break. We like guidelines. Okay, in the planner versus the pantser sections for today, the planner is going to be the same as always. We're covering the story, and this is week 5. It's a cure week, and so we do have someone that comes in to be cured, and I'll be talking about the narration and then also how I put it together. And then in the pantser section, we're going to be talking a little bit about first-person perspective, and in particular, first-person peripheral, which maybe you've never heard of. So we'll be talking about that. Now, before we go on to anything else, let's do a little bit of breathing and a little bit of stretching. Get our minds and our bodies in a creative space. I'm going to invite you to sit up nice and tall, have your sit bones sitting in your seat, and take a nice deep breath. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Breathing in. Let's stretch. I'm gonna go light today. Not that I ever go heavy, but I'm going light today. Okay. Good. Remember, know your limit, stretch within it. Okay. Yeah, so how we like to do this nowadays is just dive right into the narration. So if you're not ready, hit pause, go get yourself a beverage, sit back. A little bit of a longer episode today. So yeah, just prepare yourself and just like get ready. Because here we go. And this is called an involuntary foraging trip. I can feel the season coming into its own. That first fresh breeze promising warmer weather and the heat of summer is long past. The feeling of nature waking up is something I treasure. Funny how things can change so quickly. A change in residence, a definite increase in responsibilities, learning so much in such a short period of time. And yet there's other things that take their time. A change in season, the growth of a tree, even the movement of clouds, and just how easy it is to miss. I feel like becoming a witch has made me even more aware of all these things, all these changes, fast and slow. And the really funny part is that the best way to notice these changes is to be still. While I can easily keep myself busy doing, I find I prefer not doing. It's been a bit of an exercise keeping my doing and not doing balanced because both are needed. I find I do because not doing ends. And when my doing is done, I'm back to not doing. It's a bit weird, and I don't know if I'm making sense to anyone, other than to myself, of course. I think. But it feels good to just sit and observe. My mind does wander while I'm sitting, whether in the cottage by the spirit house or outside in the increasingly warm and green spaces, but that's okay too. It floats along and wanders into all sorts of mental crevices, nooks, even the occasional rabbit hole, but eventually comes back and quiets a bit before dashing off again. Watching my mind meander around is like watching a restless child. It's okay so long as it's home for meals. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I've done my best to rest and recuperate, to keep myself happy and healthy, while also being at my best when the need arises. I've enough silver to make a new purchase. I'm sure Bob will be happy to see me in a full purse. Just kidding. Bob is a wonderful person and a smart shopkeeper. I hope to be viewed the same way someday. Anyway, that will be something to do later this week. Or not, we'll see. For now, I'll sit and breathe. And now, some time passes. At some point, something that I started feeling grew in my awareness, something not exactly wrong, but also not quite right. Mouse-eye, do you feel something too? There's nothing so affirming as someone else mentioning feeling something strange without prompting. Yeah, any idea what it is? Mm-mm. Do you want to scout around a bit, see if something's amiss? As an answer, he just closed his eyes. Maybe he didn't say, must I? With words, but he yelled it with actions. So I shrugged and decided to walk around. The sky was clear, the sun shining, nothing out of the ordinary, except for two things. The bees were less active and sticking closer to the hive, and things felt a little gloomier than they should have. It was all subtle and easy to miss, but taken together, something was up. I decided to stay close to the cottage, which wasn't the idea I'd had for, not today, but maybe tomorrow. I'd taken 2 weeks to clean up and rest up after difficult cases, which meant I'd spent less time than maybe I should have looking for reagents. And I had wanted to spend some time in Glimmerwood Grove. I guess that would have to wait. Time passed. The gloom, if anything, deepened. I did my best to sit and be patient. Me pacing the cottage would do me no favors. The day progressed and still nothing. The sun set and still nothing. The sun set? No. If a certain necromancer is coming to visit, at least we'll have that out of the way. Mouse-eye, you don't think it's the necromancer, do you? He stirred. If it is, at least we're here. The cottage is safe. Oh, good. I would have preferred something like, no, it's not an immortal, blood-sucking, death magic-using creature whose only weaknesses are sunlight, wooden stakes to the heart, and raw garlic. So we wait. And wait. And a knock. on the door. Mistress, are you at home? Gulp. Mouse-Eye quickly ran behind the spirit house. Great. I called out in response, mostly to delay actually opening the door. Igor, is that you? Yes, mistress. The master has need of your services. A vampire needs a witch? Well, why not? As I reached for the door, Mouse-Eye jumped on my shoulder, which caused me to jump out of my skin. As I recovered my composure, Mouse-Eye said, "It's safe." Good, although scaring the stuffing out of me, we could have skipped that bit. I opened the door. Igor was standing, all three hands gathered together respectfully in front of him, his perpetual smile warm and reassuring. "Mistress, please allow me to introduce my master, Count von Ranach." A figure standing behind Igor began to move forward. I expected black and red velvet, a cape, a large necklace depicting a wolf or a bat, all on a towering figure with a smile featuring prominent canines. What emerged was less. He was pale, that fit the usual depictions, but he was short and stout, wearing a shirt and pants that you might see a laborer wear. There was nothing regal or scary here, or at least in view. Mouse-Eye's trembling kept me alert. The Count walked up to me, took my hand, and kissed the back of it. "Count von Ranach, pleased to make your acquaintance. And please call me Richard. One's name disappears when buried by titles and honors. Tell me, what may I call you?" I could feel a gentle push to give him my real name, that here was a friend who would safeguard secrets as if they were his own. So I took a second to shrug that off. "Sweet. Please, call me Sweet." He smiled. It was, for the most part, accepting, but for the remaining part, and echoed by his eyes, not happy that I'd given the answer I had. I recovered my senses some more. "To what do I owe the visit, Richard?" He recovered quickly, too. "Would you mind if we sit down before I regale you with my tale of misfortune?" I was getting comfortable with the situation, and that meant I didn't mind taking a minute to ask the cottage before answering. Count Richard might take offense, but I was caring less and less. I focused on the cottage and mentally asked for permission. It was granted, so I let the vampire and his assistant in. The Count flashed a quick, satisfied grin. "Isn't it funny? Sunlight is unhealthy for me, but I can enjoy a lovely fire. Thank you for allowing me in." The Count was once again being charming, but I wasn't fooled. Something was going on. "Please take a seat. May I offer you some tea?" "Tea? Delighted." "And for you, Igor?" "Yes, please." With the social niceties out of the way, it was time to find out what was going on. "You mentioned a tale of misfortune, Richard?" He sipped and savored before responding. "Wonderful cup of tea, thank you. So, yes, why I'm here. As you probably know, being a witch that I am, differently alive than others. In addition, my interest in exploring the boundary between this world and the one where the deceased travel to requires the use of silver. Did you know its qualities of calling forth the energies of the moon? Yes? Yes, of course you do. Well, what no one mentions in any of the tomes I have you been in my library? You've seen my collection of books. That silver can irritate not just skin, but the entire body, and what's more, the esoteric body. So I have a need for a cure, and that brings me to you." On the surface, it sounded good, sincere, someone needing help. But couldn't that help come from, I don't know, the Igor with the fully stocked laboratory? So I called him on it. "It's unfortunate, but my skills are centered around necromantic arts, not allergies." With a slight, perhaps even disapproving glance at the Count. "Igor," the Count replied, "we've discussed this. This is not an allergy. It is a chronic condition from overexposure. As well you know from the summoning of a skew." Then he glanced at me. "Sorry. You wouldn't know. Askew is a minor demon. I consulted it in regards to my affliction, and it assured me you could effect a cure. Right. Please enjoy some more tea. I'll just be a second. I got up and began consulting the old witch's book. As I came up with a plan, I heard the Count remark on my spirit house. It's lovely how you honor your ancestors, the grounds. What does that symbolize? Without thinking, I replied, the cottage and grounds. Is that so? I cringed. I'm not sure what he's hunting for, but apparently he just found something helpful. I turned my mind back to the condition at hand. Silverburn, definitely a thing, and not an easy nut to crack. Thankfully, I already had one reagent, ghost goo. For the other, I had a few choices. I think I muttered Glimmerwood Grove as I read. Will your hunt for reagents take you to the grove? I heard the Count ask. I just nodded. He paused for a minute. Lovely place, full of reagents. I nodded again. And I'm in no hurry for a cure. Did he know I had been thinking of going there? Was that demon the one who told him? I had been thinking about a reagent gathering. Expedition is far too grand a word, but wonderful. That sounds productive and relaxing. I heartily endorse it. Yes, and I insist you take Igor with you. He'll cook and clean for you, whatever you want. Isn't that right, Igor? Was there a pause? Yes, master. Of course, master. The Count smiled. Wonderful! It's all decided. And of course you don't want to wait, do you, sweet? I just nodded again. Right, gather your things and off you go. And I did. And I did. It was only after I was halfway there that I realized I hadn't actually wanted to leave at all. I was so frustrated, angry, disgusted in myself, I wanted to scream, but I also wanted to talk to Mouse-Eye, but with Igor around, I knew Mouse-Eye wouldn't appear. So I stopped to go to the bathroom, asked Igor to keep going, and said I'd catch up in a minute. I squatted down in a place so I could make sure Igor kept on walking. After I made sure he wasn't around, I whispered, Mouse-Eye? Clever using the I need to pee trick. Thanks. It helps to know I've got my brain back. I felt like I was pushed out the door. You were, but not by the vampire. I think the cottage got you out of there. That stopped me. Seriously? He wanted in and the cottage let it happen. I think whatever happens there, it'll be safer for you out here. Focus on the potion. He wasn't making that up. And when you feel ready, then we'll head back. Hopefully things will be resolved and in our favor. Note to self. All this hoping that things will work out is for the birds, or the snails, for something and or someone who's not me. I'd prefer certainty, especially here and now. Anyway, I finished my fake pee stop and caught up to Igor. He didn't look happy, so I asked if there was anything the matter. Kind of you to ask. I don't wish to say anything against the master, but his conduct lately has been in violation of the Igor Code. And this excursion, begging your forgiveness, is right up there. I'm supposed to care for Master's needs, not simply to ensure you... That I what, Igor? Come to harm? Oh, no, mistress. No harm is to come to you. Then why are you here? Loose lips think sips. I've already said too much. He wandered into the cottage. He's looking for something. The entity that is the cottage and the grounds. He became aware of it with the last switch. And so what? You'll cure him of his allergy. Ha! Allergy. What self-respecting necromancer has a silver allergy? Shameful. I will? Yes, mistress, you will. Not because of any threat, but because in your heart of hearts, you heal. It's what you do. It's what you want to do. And I'm here to help you do it. Just maybe take longer than strictly necessary. And yet you don't want to help me. You want to help the Count. That, mistress, is my burden to bear. For now. And that was that. Whether I liked it or not, I had Igor helping me find reagents in the forest while a vampiric necromancer attacked my cottage. And my cottage, by the way, wanted me out of the way. I had no idea how I was supposed to feel about all of this, so I decided to get to work gathering so that when I felt the time was right, I'd be able to go home right away. Okay, Igor, I can't say I understand any of what's going on, but you are right that I'm not interested in whatever magical battle of wits is happening. So I'll focus on what I can do, which is focus on making potions and all that involves, and let everything play out as it will. I'm going to trust that everything works out okay. So let's get to the grove and set up camp. It's getting late and I'd really like to hit the ground running tomorrow. How's that sound? Like a well thought out plan, mistress. And some time passes. That plan worked well for us, although there was a fair bit of luck involved. You see, we finished making our way to the grove, the trees all rising high over our heads, branches outstretched, nighttime animals making their nighttime noises. Funny how scary they can be heading to the hollow and yet so soothing in the grove. We found a clearing and set up camp by a couple of big rocks that were the start of a couple of low ridges, forming a bit of a valley. It was tight, that valley, so we set up at the mouth of it. It also allowed for some fresher air. Inside the valley, the air didn't move much and had an unpleasant earthy smell, and that's where we spent the first night. When we awoke the next morning, we decided to move camp. Quietly, because the rocks we camped next to weren't rocks. They were feet. Giants' feet. I don't know how we avoided being trampled or otherwise rolled on. Thankfully, the giant is a heavy sleeper. Once we had the new camp set up, I went back and carefully picked foot fungus, a powerful reagent. I tried to not sneeze and was almost successful, but the giant slept through it all. I do not look forward to contending with an awake giant. Fingers crossed, I never do. Over the course of a couple of days, we gathered pretty much everything I wanted to bring back. We put our new camp near a copse of nurse willows where I harvested surgeon sap. Apart from being a convenient camp for ourselves, we also got to watch as a couple of animals, wounded from, I suppose, territorial fights, battles with predators, and who knows what else, came to lick the trees and effect their own healing. One of these animals was a boar. It was in really bad shape, not even being able to reach a tree. It just laid down a few meters away, looked piteously at them, and whimpered. I was able to gather a bit of additional sap and cautiously fed it. As it lay there waiting for the sap to work its magic, I gave it some pets and was rewarded with some of its hair. Hair of the boar was another reagent I'd hoped to gather. Near a quick flowing creek, as we gathered water, there was some splashing as something tried to avoid us. At first I thought it was a fish. Turns out it was Scramble Bramble. If it hadn't been for its trying to get away, I never would have known it was there. I managed to catch a bit. On a prior trip here, I'd encountered some pixies near some songberry bushes. I headed that way again. The pixies were once again gathered there. It was a bit awkward, with plenty of not very quiet mutterings about how I cheated at caber toss. I tried to put on a friendly face. I guess it worked because I was able to talk to a pixie who was, on the face of it, personable. Or should that be pixieable? How about we go with civil? With her help, we gathered songberries. They're just so good for mood. And she directed me to shield cap. Several pixies were trying on different mushroom caps for fit and comfort. And color. Getting the right shade was a big part of the discussions there. I was about to head back to the pixie gathering when I heard the strangest rhythm. Tap, tap, shuffle. Tap, tap, pounce, grope. Peering around a few trees, I saw these weird pink toads gathered in small groups, dancing. It was funny to watch, and they did it with such solemnity, I had to guess it was some sort of, I don't know, a courtship dance maybe? Like trying to impress the other toads with their big jumps, maybe? Dancing skills? Ability to get down and boogie? But a serious boogie, anyway. Anyway, I watched for a good long while. At some point, it finished, and I was able to collect mucus off overhanging leaves and I can't believe I'm writing this, their poop. Just call me the Princess Toad Latrine Girl. I did eventually return to the pixies. I noticed everyone was drinking something warm and rich smelling. When I asked what it was, I was told it was coffee cap, that it grew over that away, and that I could go get some now because it was time for me to leave. Although I'd hoped to get some more rat spit before heading off, I suppose I should be happy that they merely told me to leave rather than curse me. So, coffee cap? Yes. Rat spit? No. Like I said, it had been a couple of days. They were good, productive days. Igor kept the camp running well and in fact is quite the chef. I don't think I've eaten as well out here in the forest as I have in my time in the cottage. "Ah, well, you know," he said when I complimented his culinary skills. "It's always satisfying to cook for more than just yourself. The master, doesn't eat anything. He provides for his own nourishment. Though I'm having fun cooking for such an appreciative mistress." At some point after another fulfilling meal, I found myself asking about the old witch's interest with the Count. "It wasn't something I was privy to. It is a bit odd to seek out the company of a vampire, or a necromancer, or both, but she did. The master, I think he enjoyed the company. The dead, near-dead, pseudo-dead, sorta dead. Did you know necromancers have 50 words for dead and death? Anyway, they aren't much for conversation, and it's above my station to speak to the master, though I think he got lonely on occasion. He may even have lost a bit of his passion for the work. Thus my fear he'd abandon it and leave with her. So, along with hiding her letter to him, I kept giving her a travel guide to the Imperial City. I hope she's enjoying it there." Well, that explains a lot. I was going to ask more about that when I got a feeling. A request to return, and not to wait. I took a minute to pretend to relieve myself so that I could ask Mouseye if he'd felt anything. He had. I strode confidently to Igor and let him know that I felt it was time to head home. He took one look at me, said, "Yes, mistress," and we quickly packed up and started back. Just like our walk out, it was dark heading back. I was certainly walking faster heading back home, or what I hope was still my home, partly out of a desire to be in the cottage again, and partly out of trepidation of what I'd find. The cottage was quiet and still as we approached. Light did glow out from the windows, and smoke and the occasional ember rose out of the chimney. Nothing out of the ordinary. I opened the door and found everything as I'd left it. Nothing broken, no mess, no disorder. Sitting at my table was the vampire, Richard, looking at me. Not violent, not angry, no animosity showing, just abashed, I think. Amused, even sheepish. "Good evening, Mr. Streetwater. I owe you an apology and an explanation. First, the explanation. When I became aware of the spirit that resides here, and I believe you've begun calling it also not here, I felt I had to explore the phenomenon. What I didn't realize was the extent of that energy, nor of its desire for its privacy and ability to defend itself from unwanted intrusion. I've already tendered my apologies to the entity, and now I do so to you. Frankly, I had thought that you, an unassuming girl, wouldn't be aware of the energies and that I could take advantage of that. I was wrong. I'm truly sorry to have disturbed you and this place." "And why are you telling me this?" "Because that was part of the agreement I made to cease hostilities. To be blunt, in the battle of wills between myself and the entity, I was suddenly beset by the most noxious, odious little creatures I've ever encountered. Vicious little things." "They're probably the result of poisoning the doctor." "Really? Comeuppance too in the mix. Fitting, I suppose." I just stood there, watching, listening, processing. "However, I would be most obliged if you could prepare that cure for Silverburn. I have money." I glanced at the spirit house. Mouseye peered out from it, all smiles. He gave me a sign that it was okay to brew it up. It meant having Richard in my house for longer than I wanted, but I did quickly brew it. He applied it to his hands, then drank the rest. A look of relief crossed his face. "Thank you. Here is your fee, and please know I meant you no harm." And with that, he headed for the door. Before he left, he looked over his shoulder. I cleaned up as best I could. Would you like Igor to give it a once-over? The mess those little creatures can spread is nauseatingly impressive. Please excuse any mess I missed. Now, allow me to bid you adieu. I sat down in my chair and looked up at the spirit house again. Will you tell me what happened? The feeling I got back was one of comfort, security, warmth, the feelings a child might get from a parent who won't share the events of the day but gives reassurance instead. I sat and watched the fire slowly die down to embers, then out, leaving me in the comforting dark of the cottage. And that is the episode. And now it is time to do a breathe and a stretch. I could use one. I hope you can too. Take a nice deep breath. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, and hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath in. Oh, I popped on that one. Don't normally square breathe on these middle ones, but apparently I needed it today. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 items that went into the creative mixing bowl for this episode. Now, of course, the first one is the guidebook prompts, and we do have guidebook prompts today. I'm just going to share them on my screen here. Okay, so there we go. There's the guidebook prompts. Take 2 seconds, grab a screenshot, and then we will move on to talk about the highlights. Okay. So, yeah, let's kind of go through the things. Okay, so the first thing is that our ailment today, it comes off of the difficulty 2 table. I think it's the intermediate ailments. It's called Silverburn, and the timer is 13, right? So we've got lots and lots of time. And we already have Ghost Goo, so we only need to find 1 reagent, and that one was for the curse, I believe, because we already had, oh, sorry, Ghost Goo for curse. We just needed a burn reagent, so we went with Surgeon Sap with that one. So in the collecting of reagents, Alicia and I went through quite the list of things that were kind of easier to gather in Glimmerwood Grove. And we wanted to go for rat spit as well as all the other items, and we ran out of time. But I wanted to write it into the narrative that we tried to get it and didn't. And so that's why the rat spit gets mentioned, but we don't actually collect it. Okay, and the last prompt that I want to talk about and highlight is that the old witch had a favorite book. And you know, what was that? So it wasn't going to fit really well with my particular story, her favorite book. And so I decided instead to say a book, and she was given it by Igor, the guidebook. And so that's what we went with there. Okay, so let's move on to what's been written before and that we're going to highlight inside this particular episode. So we know about the vampiric necromancer, Count von Rannoch, and that Sweet promised to visit since he wants to talk to her. So it made sense to have him come to her because she was going to put it off. So why not have him mosey out with an excuse of the Silverburn? So Igor has mentioned the Igor code once already. We don't know what all is in there, which means we can make up whatever it is that is in there and whatever's convenient in the moment. And yeah, we can have some fun with that. We know that there's a power or a spirit that resides within the cottage and the grounds. And I was curious, can it defend itself? So this was a perfect opportunity to give it a go. And then lastly that I want to highlight is the High Rannoch doctor. He vomited magical vomit people, but we didn't really know where they went. Sweet supposed that they ended up in some sort of abandoned animal den or warren or tunnel system, something. So that made them potentially available as cottage defenders if they hadn't gone too far and were still part of the cottage collective. And they did. They joined in, defending it for all they were worth. Okay, now to the imagination piece. So these pieces that are new coming out of my noggin. So for the purposes of this episode, Alicia and I both wanted to have some sort of camping trip into Glimmerwood Grove in order to gather reagents, because that part of it was absolutely true. We hadn't really focused much on gathering reagents. We took 2 weeks of rest episodes off, time when we could have been out gathering a whole bunch of reagents and taking that time to get more and more stock. And since we hadn't, this was just like the perfect opportunity to go ahead and do it. And with a timer at 13, it doesn't get any better than that. Especially you got one reagent already. You only need to go find one more, and after that you just kind of go to town and collect until you're green in the fingers or blue in the face, or whatever it is that's supposed to work in this case. And so the last thing that I wanted to mention here is that since it was the doctor who suffered his malady caused by the vampire and Igor, it seemed appropriate to have the vampire for sure and Igor maybe suffer from those effects. And so having the vomit people attack the vampire, okay, well, big time, there we go, comeuppance there. And then Igor is forced into keeping camp for someone that he really doesn't want to keep camp for 2 days. So it was more of an inconvenience and a mild, like kind of a thing. But still, it counts. Okay, so let's welcome now into the Pantser section, the discussion time. And I wanted to talk about first-person incidental, also known as the witness perspective. When I write where I'm talking from the point of view of Mistress Sweetwater, we look through her eyes, we hear what she's thinking. She is the protagonist, right? She is the person that we're following who moves the story along. And so that is called first person perspective. So here's the thing. When you're writing from first person perspective, the tendency is to think that when I'm writing in first person, everything that is going on, I kind of need to participate in, right? The narrator needs to be there, the first person, right? So you would have Mr. Sweetwater, who is involved in all of the big happenings so that we are aware of all the stuff that's going on. There is, however, another type of first-person perspective, and that's called the witness perspective. It is first-person incidental. And for a highlight of what that looks like in major literature, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. The book is about the Great Gatsby. It's in the title. Who we don't meet until chapter 3. So who is it that's actually narrating the story, who's telling us about all the happenings and the goings-ons about Gatsby and all of his times and troubles and tribulations? Well, it's this guy that's renting the place next to Gatsby next door. He's a renter. And he gets invited to a party. And so this is how things start to develop. So he is witnessing the trials and tribulations of Gatsby and then writing them down and telling us about them. So this is the witness perspective. And so in this particular episode, the main body of what happened did not happen in sight of Mr. Sweetwater. It happened between the vampire and the cottage. And Mr. Sweetwater was nowhere to be seen. So all she could do was just observe what she was, observe what she could, and then tell us what it is what she was told afterwards, and then relate that down. So this It's not a perfect example of the witness perspective, but it certainly shows that the protagonist, Mr. Sweetwater, the person whom we are following along to watch the story progress, does not need to be involved in every piece of every story. Lots and lots of stuff can be going on, and she can be aware of bits and pieces here and there, and then that makes her the witness to things, but not the actual performer of things. And that's just this piece that I wanted to bring up. You can have things going along, you can have multiple storylines, you don't need to have firsthand account right there, Johnny on the spot, telling us about each and everything. We can hear about it. We can hear about opinions. We can hear about perspective. We can hear about what it is that someone thinks happened. Okay, so that covers pretty much everything that I wanted to cover today. Let me come over here to the drawing expressions haiku, the last line of which you see right there. A creative space, holistically supportive. Please like, share, subscribe. And like I said, we hit 325 subscribers, and the next big goal is 650. And I will thank you to help me achieve that, to help us achieve that. So with that, thank you so much for being a part of the journey, for coming along every 2 weeks and listening to what it is I've got to say and talk about my stuff. And yeah, so I'll see you in 2 weeks. Until then, bye for now.